Welcome back to A Good Pour. This is Conversations About Good Work. I'm Kathryn Good. Today I'm joined by Amy Gleaves, who is a life coach here in Gallatin, but serving really people everywhere. But has become I probably should be a paying customer at this point, but you've just breathed life into my thoughts, and you are a client, but because of that, we get to have, you just, every time you talk, I feel like there's wisdom and
thank you.
personal growth for me. And I don't know. I just adore you. And we get to, we have some different groups that we're in together. And so thank you. Thanks for being here. That was a very long, kind of weird introduction to say, I'm really glad you're here.
Thanks. I'm glad I'm here too.
So tell me, you're a life coach. Tell me what that means and how you started to do it.
Well, I'm a life coach, so I work with people all over the spectrum. I'm a general life coach, so I have 13-year-olds up to 72-year-olds who are just in transition, who are ready for something bigger in life and know there's more out there. A lot of goal setting, a lot of accountability. Just a lot of people that know there's something that they're stuck with, that they're stuck on, and they want to improve and better their lives. How I got started in this is actually when I was 12, I knew that this is what I was going to do. There was a movie Dolly Parton was in called Straight Talk.
Okay.
It was, my parents rented it, from like Blockbuster or whatever, and I watched it for like 5 times over and over, and I kept thinking, I don't know what it is, but I want to be her in this movie. And basically, she left a bad relationship, stumbled upon a job in a radio station as she gave advice. So people, mostly women, would call in complaining about their spouses, and she would just give very blunt advice. And so she got really popular, and everyone loved her.
Were you blunt as a child?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just curious.
No. I was a people pleaser from birth.
Okay.
But,
so you've learned how to yes. state your opinion.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm pretty good at it now, I think.
You are. I love it.
But I just knew there was something about this. I'm like, I don't even know what it is. I just knew I always loved that movie. And so throughout life, I always thought I'd end up going into psychology somehow, some sort, family background, just life in general. And then I realized I am not really good at focusing on the past. I don't like the word victim. I don't want to live as a victim. And I just knew that there was more. And so I started training myself of how to make goals, how to follow goals, how to look for bigger things in life. And I worked in the world of real estate. And at the time, they weren't called life coaches. They were called success coaches. But it was becoming a big thing in the real estate world. People would hire a coach to help them with sales and get them, if they're an introvert, how to become an extrovert in the world of real estate. And I got to know this company really well. They came in and asked if I would train under them and do local stuff. And I was like, this is it. Mm-hmm. These people get to sit and ask 1,000 questions. And that's something I've always had as a gift I think it's a gift now. When I was a kid, I was told I was nosy, but I love asking questions. And I will ask, I just want to know everything about everyone. And asking questions is key, that people want to be heard and seen. And a lot of that is that's a gift I have. And I truly want to get to know people. Even I've become friends with Target employees and gas station attendant. I just do because I really have a vested interest in every human. I think every human has a gift to offer. And I think sometimes we just want to be heard and seen. And so that was something I know I struggled with as a kid, is not being heard and seen. And so when this happened and I started coaching these agents, and I coached just as many out of the business as I did in the business, because I realized at that moment, most people are not living their aligned desires. They're living the life that they thought they should live, or they saw quick money, or their families had done this, but they didn't want to do that. And so that's when it really stuck to me that I don't have to live anyone else's life. So it's taken me many years to fully get to that point. But I think that's why I have such a passion for what I do, And so I did that, and then got into the working with some nonprofits, working with single moms. I was a single mom for 10 years and helping moms who had lost custody of their kids due to different reasons. We would train them on life skills, vision board. I would do vision board teaching classes and just help them get back to where they want to be, to have a safe environment for their kids. And I loved that. And that was, I had a big passion for that company or that nonprofit. And then life happened, and I married someone with a bunch of kids, and we have a bunch of kids. And so, and so I've always done this for people. People have always known to call me, and I love that. And finally, my husband was like, you should probably just get paid for that. Like, you do a lot of free stuff. And I'm like, okay. So it just worked out that I met a lady who has an amazing program and got back into it. So that's how I'm doing it now.
So do you just kind of ask questions, like just try to get deeper? Is that the idea? Like, why? Like, you'll just start with, I don't know, I don't want to be just a life problem, but you say just keep asking questions. And you're really good about just saying what's going on in general, but like in a session, or is that the idea, is that you're just trying to get deeper and deeper, like
I think
layers?
I think everyone thinks it's like a surface level. Like, if they don't like their job, right, it's always someone else's, like, the boss is bad, or I don't like the environment, or I don't like what I'm doing. And it really ultimately has nothing to do with any of that. And so it's just the questions go deeper and deeper and deeper. And normally it's about a 7-layer situation. And it almost always relates back to someone said something to them as a child that put a thought in their brain, or did something, or a traumatic situation happened, or, there's something that's happened in their life to make them think the way that they think. And I believe that all of our thoughts we control, but some thoughts are so embedded in us as kids that it's really hard to not see those as truths.
Right.
And so it's a lot of unwinding those truths and creating your own truth that align with who you truly want to be.
So there's a tension there, it feels like, between that. You don't like living in the past, and you don't want others to live in the past, but sometimes you have to figure out.
Yeah, I think 100%. I think there's a difference in focusing on our past and allowing it to control our future versus looking at our past, seeing the connection, and allowing us to move past that. I always say I had a very traumatic situation happen when I was 5. And a lot of people would look at that and say, you're a victim. This happened to you. And it did happen to me, and it was not my fault. However, I have disassociated with that situation because it no longer can control me. So any thoughts I've attached to that, and anything in my life that I think has happened because of that, I had to learn to detach because it has no power over me. And that's a lot of it, is learning that you have the power over you no matter what's happening to you.
So what freedom is there? What goodness is there when someone can kind of work through this?
Well, I think you see life in a whole different light. I think you're able to look at things as possibilities that you were never able to look at. And I think, too, if we live in our past and we live in these thoughts that don't serve us, we don't see what's available to us. And we see other people succeeding and think, that's great for them, but I can't have that. Mm-hmm. And so when you learn to change those thoughts and you learn to see yourself as worthy as you are right now, then you're able to see that anything is a possibility and you can be anything you want to be. That sounds so silly, right? Because we learn it in kindergarten, right? Like, be whoever you want to be, but it's really true. It's just society. I believe society has told us who can be what you have to have something. And I just don't believe I don't believe in that. I just believe that we get to create our own path.
So that's, you get to create the life you want. Yeah. And it's never too late, right?
It's never too late. And it can change. Like, what aligns with me today did not align with me 5 years ago. And it may not align with me in 10 years. But I know that as long as I'm staying on the path of what is aligned to me today, I can't go wrong.
So what does it take for you to know what's aligning?
I think it takes a lot of self-awareness and a ton of accountability. I have learned to be accountable in every situation. Even if someone else is doing something to me, I have an accountability to that. And it might just be the way I react. But when I can take complete accountability for my role in every situation, then that also means I have complete power of where I'm at in that situation.
Yeah, love it. So you're always listening and you're always observing.
Yes.
Which makes it very easy for anyone to talk to you, right? And anything you would say about those two characteristics? I mean, I think it's how we can do good work in any relationship is listening and observing. But were you always that way, or did you teach yourself? Okay.
Yeah. I think I was a middle child, kind of a chaotic sister and brother situation. I was always the medium ground, but I always observed everyone's actions because a lot of it was, how am I going to show up? So when you learn to observe how people are, don't come in, with fighting words, right? Or like lay low or whatever it is. And so I've always been that way. I think as I got older, I realized I didn't have a lot of people in my life that actually listened. They would hear me in order to respond to me, but they didn't truly listen. And I decided that I needed to be that for someone else, that I just want anyone to know when they speak to me, their words are completely coming in and I'm taking everything that they say. I think that that's just something missing in the world, is that we don't listen to listen, we listen to react. And we try to react based off our own ego versus what this person is really trying to tell us. So I'm a big observer. It's really funny. My 13-year-old did something the other day and she observed someone's body language, and it made me so excited because I'm like, she's getting it.
You've taught her.
But yes, but I just think that if we observe people, one, you can see if someone's hurt. You really can. You can see the standoff. If someone's being standoffish, if they sometimes people just need a smile or a hug or just someone to say hi to. And so I just think the more you observe other people, it just opens you up and makes you just a better human.
Yeah. Yeah. Love that. So how would you say you tell others about what you do? Like how do you encourage other people to go through this journey?
I think just through living my life. I think I love to talk to people. I just love face to face. And I also think through my clients. I mean, my clients get really cool results. And I always say, I feel like I'm handing the world a whole different human. And a lot of people lately that are in massive transitions of divorcing or that sort of thing. And it's like, when they're done, the human that they are, it's just so powerful to know that they're a whole person being able to go into a new relationship.
So describe, let's do that. When someone comes to you, and it can be any situation, but kind of describe the emotions that they're feeling, just so.
Almost everyone that comes to me, their very first words are, I'm broken.
Oh.
Yeah. Pretty much, pretty much all of my clients come to me that way, that they feel broken in some way.
And stuck. You use the word stuck too.
And stuck, yeah. And I think a lot of it is they feel like they have tried everything in the sense of they're doing everything someone's told them to do. And it doesn't work. And a lot of times, the word broken is so sad to me because I don't believe anyone's broken. I believe we're all whole as we are. I just think sometimes we get off course, and a lot of the times people allow other people's opinions to truly design their life. And it's not always people that have the best interest for us too. It seems we tend to pick up negative comments a lot faster than we do positive in life. And I just think that when people come, they're like, I'm at my last rope. I don't know what else to do. Like, I don't get to think like other people think. And
you're saying like the negativity that other people have said over them at any point in their lives.
Other people, social media. I mean, social media and the comparison game is really sad. And I hear people all the time that will tell me, I scroll social media and I just get so sad and I'm like, I can't live that life, or I don't have that life. And it's definitely something you're choosing to do, right? Like I choose to look at social media as like, wow, that's amazing, and I can do that too. A lot of people can't do that. They only see comparison, and I understand that. I've been down that road. So I also think that I've pretty much been through every emotion possible. And even though I have the tools, I still go through things. And so a lot of it's just, I'm a human too, and I see them as a human without judgment.
Mm-hmm. So what do they look like when you're setting them out into the world, a new person?
They just speak differently. They show up differently. I can always tell when someone comes to a session and something has really clicked because they just sit taller. They're more engaging. They just try things. And that's a big thing of what I teach is like, you have to try things in life. And it doesn't necessarily mean go out and like, I don't know, like do things you don't want to do. But it's like, if you're trying to date, like you got to really put yourself out there. You can't wait for someone to meet you at Kroger while you're picking out watermelon, right? Like you got to put yourself out there, but also it's the energy you give. People's energy changes. And I'm a big energy person. I can read someone's energy pretty fast. And so their energy lights up differently. They're just brighter.
Yeah. I love it. I could come to you and feel like I'm totally whole, right? And then something happened the very next day and feel like I'm broken. I mean, nothing's consistent, and we could do all kinds of self-discovery, and then all of a sudden I need to talk to you, right? Yeah. Like we go through these seasons where things change, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But it's like your self-awareness. You have to know what season you're in.
Yeah.
I love it. We've already talked about you being observant and a good listener. You have a way too of being self-aware in your relationships, I feel like. So you show up. You sent a text the other day. So we're in a small group that is career-based. There's all kinds of different small groups as you can invest in friends, and I think you would preach that to other people. Mm-hmm. I was not searching for a question. That's I'm getting called out by DJ for my if this is still on air. But
so funny.
So dang it!
Can I get $1 for every time Kathryn says
Okay, I'm gonna have to go through some speech training or something.
Yeah,
probably should have done that. So we were in a group, and we are going through a season that I have to show up in people's lives differently, because we have got different, our kids getting older, and they're becoming whole in themselves, and it's beautiful. But it's also when you see these kids make choices for good or bad that are going to affect their lives, it's beautiful, but it's also terrifying.
Yeah.
And so when they've told their parents about it, whether this is picking a college or picking a boyfriend or girlfriend or picking, to have a bad choice, it just, as a friend and a parent, it is weighing on me. And I admitted this, like kind of as a high-low kind of thing. And you had remembered a conversation that I said months ago on how I've just become a little, I've been more open-minded. I've been learning about some things well before I knew I was going to be going through some of these seasons. So one, you listened to me back then, but you're also able to recall it and put it in a text. And honestly, the text came through, I started crying. I couldn't even text you back because I was just like, okay, one, she's heard me, she's seen me, and she has listened enough to her own mind, body, soul, God, whatever it may be, to go, okay, Kathryn may need to hear this, right? So talk to me, and it really, truly meant a lot to me, because I've had several of these for such a time as this moments. Like, I just feel like I've learned the things that I've learned, or I've been through the experiences I've been through, because I have to breathe life and words into other people for such a time as this.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I don't need to have it back at me, right?
Yeah.
And you did that for me because, and you did. And so what does it take? And I know it's listening and observing, but what does it take to be kind of in tune with yourself and your friends to know when you need to show up?
I think a lot of it's, for me, it's just trusting myself. I trust that I didn't need you to respond. It was just a message I felt like
I clearly needed to hear.
I just wanted to say, right? And so I felt, for me, I've just learned that there's a reason. I always say, I don't know if it's a good or a bad trait, but I remember every word ever spoken to me. And sometimes I wish I could forget some people's words spoken to me, but it's just something that I hold on to. And I may not remember little things in your life, but anything that speaks to me that's going to have an effect on your life will always stay with me. And I just think that a lot of it's just, I just have a gift of caring about other people, but I do it because I care so much about myself. And I truly believe we all have a purpose. And this is part of my purpose, is being able to take in all this information and hold on to it, because there is a time when people need to be reminded. It's just, I don't know. I think anyone can have the gift. I also think you have to learn to let your ego go. And I think we all battle with it. I battle with my own ego. But I've also learned that it doesn't serve me. What serves me is just showing up as who I am. And some people don't accept it, and that's okay. That's just who I am. And I'm okay with not being accepted in every room. And I'm okay with people thinking I'm crazy or weird, whatever, right? Like, it's just, I'm just okay with it. Like, I can walk into any room and I am who I am, and I'm good with it. So I haven't always been that way. And I mean, a lot of this is life coaching. I have my own coach. I do the work. And a lot of it's having to remind myself. I was in a situation not too long ago that really made me doubt a lot of things about myself, about being good enough. And it was just a reminder that, yeah, you're still human and you still have human thoughts, and it's okay. And I had someone for me that showed up and reminded me of some things that I needed to be reminded of. So I just think it's just part of who we are as humans, is to look out for each other. And
so tell me 3 things that are working in your life to show up as a good human. But then also, because we're all different, you speak this a lot. Tell me kind of 3 other things that other people do that maybe you don't do as
yeah,
as a habit or what have you, but may work for other people, just to give some people some ideas.
Well, I think over anything else, I think every single human can do good work in their own ways, and things that work for me may be very different than what works for other people. But I think ultimately is we have to be authentic. When we become our authentic self, we do the good work automatically. And it might be saying hi to the cashier. It might be waving at someone. It might be smiling. I mean, it's just little things like that. But we live in a society where so many people are afraid to be authentic and to be who they really want to be. And I believe that that's what causes a lot of our issues. That's what causes a lot of our judgment and our hate and our anger towards other humans. And when people feel judged, they show up different in life, and they do get disgruntled, and they're angry, and they make people feel bad about themselves. And so I always say, like, first and foremost, you have to know who you are, and you have to be authentic. And I'm very vulnerable in every situation. And so I'm not saying I'll go spill my life to a stranger, but I'm vulnerable in the sense of knowing, like, I'm a human, and I'm going to show up as a human no matter what. And that's kind of what I want in return from people. So I think that is number one key for everyone, is to figure out who you authentically are and be okay with other people not being okay with that. Mm-hmm. I think that especially with our kids, it's really hard as they get older, because they do make decisions we don't love, or they do things that we don't love. And anyone we love can be this way. And a lot of it's trusting that if they're being authentic, it can't go wrong, right? Another thing that really works for me, and I live by this rule, is that nothing happens to me, everything happens for me. So even when things don't go good, it's, instead of being a rejection, I look at it as a redirection. And I think it's, a lot of times in my life, I look at things like, I'm meant to be here for a reason. And it might be for me or it might be for them, but there's a reason. And I have to accept that reason and move forward with that. So I think that's a big key for me. Another thing is, I just love to make people happy. And I don't think it's my job to fix people. I think I used to think that a lot. I used to want to fix everyone. And even now when someone calls me with their problems, I'm like, okay, I can fix this. Like, who can I call? What can I? And I've come to realize that it's not my job to fix people. I think my job is to show up for people. And that's what, in a very non-judgmental way. Like, I don't judge other humans. I think no matter where we're at in life, like, there's no reason to judge other people. And so I think that has served me in doing what I do. And I think that that's attracted the clients to me that I have, is they know I'm not going to judge them for anything that they've done, or any thoughts that they have. I mean, as humans, we have a lot of thoughts that could be judged, right? And so I just think that that's just part of our brain and how we function. So I think for other people, it's, I hear people say this a lot, like, I don't have time to go and volunteer or do the thing. And I'm like, just do something. My number one rule is every single day, I want to touch someone's life. So even if it's a text, it might be a conversation I have at the grocery store or at a coffee shop. It might be an email I send. It might be a social media post. I just want to touch one person a day. And that's my goal. I feel like if we all could do that,
we'd all be, we would be affected once a day, right? Like someone is doing good to us if we all did it. I love that. Yeah.
I just think ultimately humans want to be heard and seen and felt like they're important. And that doesn't mean putting people on a pedestal. It doesn't mean, it just means acknowledging people as human beings and that they're okay. And I know you said 3 things, but this is probably more. But I'm big on validating myself. And I think a lot of people look for outside validation and they don't feel like they've accomplished something without an outside validation. I've taught myself I don't need validation from anyone. And it helps because it helps you show up in ways that, you would never show up in. And I mean, there's still
and you're not waiting, right? Like,
exactly.
It's did anyone see me do? I mean,
exactly. Yes.
You can
and
just
I think
move
that
on.
comes with doing good, right? Is we learn that when I don't need validation from someone else, I can do good and no one knows about it, right? Like,
Amen.
We don't have to go shout to the world that what we do, right? It's just be a good human and just make it a point every day to impact someone. It might be your kid.
Right. All right, so you get up at 5 a.m.
I do get up at 5 a.m.
You are very intentional about being outside.
I am.
Very intentional about journaling.
Yes.
Is there any other habits that you have that allow you to kind of get to this spot? That's the other question I was going to ask. Observing. Do you take notes about people, or is it all up here? Like,
it's pretty much all up there.
Okay.
If I'm in a new group and I'm getting to know someone, I will make notes about that person. Like, this person has 3 kids and this person does that, moved from Chicago,
brilliant.
whatever. Just so I can kind of register it all. But it's pretty much after that.
You must have a very good memory, too.
I do have a good memory, which is good and bad, right? Like, there's a lot of things I remember, but anyway, yes.
Okay. All right. It came back to me.
So getting up at 5 a.m. is just something I've always loved to do. I love watching the sun come up. It's just my time. Like, all you hear are birds and it's amazing, and no one in my house gets up that early. So I do journal. Sometimes it's intentional journaling. Sometimes it's thought dumps. Sometimes it's something's weighing on me and I just need to get it out. Sometimes it's like, what are you going to do today? To get excited for the day. But I always do that. That's very, very big. I also am big on working out. That has helped me in ways I didn't think it would. So I'm very intentional about some sort of movement, whether it's tennis or weights or cardio, whatever it is, but I always have some sort of fitness. And I always take at least 5 or 10 minutes throughout the day, like sporadically, to just chill. And especially if I have back-to-backs, I'll get a little exhausted from talking, and so I'll just take 5 or 10 minutes to just breathe. And it might be just going to sit outside for a minute or meditating or that sort of thing. I love meditation. I do it in a lot of different formats. So I can't say I'm consistent in one way or another with that, but I do have it.
Are there any good habits that you feel like that work for your clients that don't work for you?
Yeah, there's a ton. A lot of my clients don't like to journal, right? And at first I'm like, what? What? Journaling's life-changing. But it's okay. Like, that's just not their
Just find
thing.
your thing, yeah.
And so there's a lot of people, like, running. I mean, I love the idea of running to relieve, like, your mind and your thought. And a lot of people, I have a couple clients that run daily, and that's their meditation and all about it. I used to run. I'm not a runner anymore. Love to watch others do it, but it's just not my thing. Other people, it's talking. You know, some people will send me like voice messages. All of my clients get in between coaching on texting and stuff, and they'll just, sometimes it's just them voicing what they need to say, and they're like, don't respond, I just needed to get it out. So yeah, I mean, I think there's all kinds of, some people love to stay up late because that's their time. I'm usually asleep by 9.
Because you got to get up
Because
at 5.
I get up at 5.
No, yeah. I love that. You have a lot of different, just in working with you and listening to you, there's lots of different ways we can take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
And, just have to find your thing.
Yeah.
You said, who do I want to be today, just a second ago. And I wrote that down at some point that you've said, again, just talk to Amy. There's nuggets everywhere. I hope will be an episode that people can come back and listen to just when they need to find themselves again, because there's all kinds of resources even in this episode. But I think you put it, who do I want to be today, which has given me permission to say, you know what, today is a mom day.
Yeah.
And today is I'm going to have a self-care day. Who do I want to be today? Because it can, one, shape your whole day, but it gets that just, if I don't do any work today, it's okay because I'm hanging out with my kids.
Yeah.
And not to say that we should need that, but it's a framework from the beginning of the day that has really helped me. Is there anything else you can think of just as a question to ask or a point that you feel like resonates with the masses?
I think knowing or asking yourself, what do you want, right? Like, I think I do that daily, but I also focus on who do I want to be today, because there are some days where I'm like, I don't want to be a life coach. I don't want anyone to ask me a question today. I just need to like decompress, right? And I think society tells us you have to work every day and you have to show up as the best mom and parent. And there are some days where I'm like, guys, I just need to check out, and that's okay. So I love asking that and some days it's like, you're on fire today, like you're going to get 10 things done and you're going to meet with all your clients. And then some days I'm like, you have zero energy. So today's focus is getting energy back. So I think that's a huge gift.
I just love it.
But we can give ourselves.
And it's giving yourself validation to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think too, like asking yourself what you want also helps, because sometimes life changes, right? Like what I wanted 5 years ago is not what I want now. And I have to ask myself, I'm in a huge growth phase right now in some arenas of my life. And some of I believe growth can look like massively climbing a hill. And I also believe it can look like sitting still and letting it be. And I'm in between those right now. I have part of my life where I'm sitting still and part of my life where I'm really growing. And so every day I have to ask myself, like, what do you want? It's like, and really get clear on what you want. And then I know I base my actions off that alignment. Because if I'm just out doing a bunch of actions and say I'm busy but it has nothing to do with what I really want, it's totally pointless.
Right.
And it's going to keep me in the same situation versus this is my goal, this is what I want. So every action better be towards that.
Right. Well, I have had the pleasure, we met at Just Coffee, I don't know, 2 years ago?
2 years ago, I think.
2 years. And you were confident in being a life coach, but not confident in how you wanted to shape it.
Yes.
And how you wanted to approach it on social media. And so I've gotten a front seat in watching you really show up here and owning this life coach business, right? Like you own that this is what you want to do. So it's been a joy to watch you. You are in a tremendous season of growth in lots of ways that I get to see. But it's been fun to watch you just grow this business and really, I don't know your clients. But knowing that you are responsible for helping them become a new person and releasing them into the world, just makes me feel better about the world, honestly. So just thank you for the good work you're doing in people's lives.
Well, thank you. It's funny, the social media, that was always been a big issue with me, it's a love-hate thing. And you like helping me with my social media, I've noticed I show up differently. It was almost like as soon as you all started making posts for me, I was like, oh, now I'm going to show up. And
it's a little bit of confidence, right?
It's a little bit of confidence, but it's also I'm getting to the point of not caring what other people think. And so it's actually a really cool feeling knowing that my goal for every post is just for one person to get something out of it.
And be authentic. And you do an incredible job of that every single time, whether we do it or you do it.
Yeah.
But that's the power of social media. We can be real, right? And I haven't been as active on social media because I'm in a season right now that I don't care for some reason, and that's authentic me.
That's your authentic self,
right?
And I think humans crave authentic people, and we want to pretend like we don't because we see the flashy and the fun but people truly crave someone who's just an authentic human being who can just show up.
Yeah.
In all their forms. And sometimes I show up and I'm a hot mess, and sometimes I'm very well put together, and other times I don't know where I'm going, and that's okay too, right? Like I'm just like, that's just what you get today.
I love it. it. Well, thank you, Amy. Thanks for being a good friend. Thanks for being a good listener. And thanks for being on the podcast today.
Thank you.